Hey everyone, Joe here, and today's What's Crackin' is a special one. And when I say special, I mean I've a big fan of writing. If anyone knows me, I'm a big fan of writing, and anything that's in the fantasy land has got me completely hooked. So Jason Schelhaas, welcome to have you.
Thank you, thank you. Thanks for having me on too. So I'm excited.
Oh, it's an absolute pleasure. And I'm gonna ask directly a couple questions about the writing process,
hmm
but I have to know one thing.
hmm
What's on your shirt?
Oh well, this is if you guys can see it. This is J.R.R. Tolkien's
Yeah.
writing logo with the Elvish inscription that's on the ring.
Yeah.
So the one ring to rule them all, one ring to bind them. So that's basically on my shirt because I was like, I might as well wear it because he's my biggest influence for
Yeah,
fantasy.
I was gonna say it looks just like Tolkien. I went to this sounds posh. I went to school with him.
Well, oh, really?
Sort of. Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Wow.
Me and Oscar Wilde. Uh, so
That's
you were
incredible.
into Tolkien, but not just the rings.
Yeah. So if you're referencing Lord of the Rings, I'm assuming, right?
Yes. Sorry.
Yes. So I actually, I mean, I have also have like tattoos. Like this is from the Silmarillion. So to like
I love
like add on to it, I am a huge, I would say just a Tolkien fanatic,
it.
and
Right.
I've read Lord of the Rings, multiple bunch of times, but right now I'm kind of in the process of reading all of Tolkien's books other than Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit, and that's kind of what I have on my YouTube channel. Um,
It's very cool. What channel? Can you spell the channel for? You gave it to me. I just wanted you to spell it now. Spell
yeah,
it.
yeah. My last name's a little difficult, but my channel is JJSCHELHAAS. So
Nice.
if you guys
Perfect.
can get it, yeah, it's a tough one.
As someone with a similar last name, we were always the kids in school that goes, Jax. That's me.
Yeah, that's me.
Just
Yeah. I'm the only Jackson in class.
yeah. I'm the only one here. It's
Yeah,
fine.
yeah.
What's wrong here? So that's cool. So what made you get into Tolkien? Was it the the old animated film as a kid, or is it
So it's crazy enough. A lot of people begin with like the radio adaptation or the
right?
films. Crazy enough, when I was a kid, maybe like 10 years old, I was going through a bunch of my parents' old books, and
Really?
this was when I was living in Iowa. So this is like small town Iowa, and going through basically at the attic with the spare books, and all of a sudden I pick up this copy of the Silmarillion, and this is me at like, yeah, like I said, 11 years old. And I'm reading through this and I'm like, wow, this is like an entire separate fictional world that has so many characters and all the lore. And I'm like, I was just blown away. And then my
That's
parents were like,
amazing.
that there's movies and books that are after the story. And I'm like, no way. This is incredible.
Oh,
And
that's very
then,
cool,
yeah.
man. You actually found it like one of the rare people who actually found it through the books.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it was incredible, and I feel like I'm blessed with that story because it's
Yeah.
just like so rare that you find.
It really is. I mean, everyone else I talked to, it was either if they're really young, it's the Hobbit films
Yeah,
with
Martin Freeman.
like the Rudy and I can't remember his
Oh, the
name. There's
animated
seeing
one.
them this weekend. Yeah, if
Oh,
you're really young, it's those guys.
yeah. Oh, that was an incredible film.
Yeah, the trilogy was amazing.
Yeah,
And if you're like my generation, it's usually the cartoon because you had an uncle who was a
yeah,
stoner.
yeah. That was great. Like,
Yeah, that cartoon was like, "Oh my god, the books are better?" Like,
yeah, right. Yeah,
so yeah, 'cause I'm saying you're really the first person that actually said like, "No, I found the books myself." Like, wow, that's
yeah,
amazing, man.
yeah.
So it hooked you into it, and
Absolutely.
then that got you into like, "I can do this,"
Yeah, and
doing your writing.
yeah, and like crazy enough, after that, when I started reading, I didn't read through the Silmarillion the first time because I was so young, and so some of the parts kind of bored me because it's the Silmarillion, so it makes sense.
There's
But
not a movie for that
no, no,
for a reason.
I don't think there ever will be.
Yeah, it's all
um,
good.
but yeah, I read through The Hobbit, read through The Lord of the Rings, watched the movies, and then I actually started writing on notebooks, like spiral notebooks, for like
Really?
class. And so I handwrit um, three books, I would say books, but
Right.
and that was kind of like the beginning of what the book that I have now called The Lands of Ordia. It was called something different back then, because I was just like kind of like, oh, I just want to write the story. And looking back on it, it's terrible writing, but it's also like when I was 13 years old. So
Yeah, it cleans up it, and that's one of the things. Sometimes, what would Pete Corielli, a comedian, would say, "There's no such thing as an unfunny joke. It's just a joke you're not strong enough to tell yet."
Yeah,
No such thing as a bad story.
mm,
But at 13, you're doing the best you can, and now as an adult, you look back like, I can fix this up.
yeah. But
So, Lands of Ordia, what was the original title?
it was actually called the Lands of Zayfithia. And so one of the countries in Ordia, so Ordia is considered the continent where everything kind of centers around. One of the central countries is Zayfithia. And so originally I had basically the story of Zayfithia be the all-encompassing story, but then I kind of expanded. I'm like, there needs to be more than just the one country. So
Well, that's an amazing mature decision as a writer. It really is, and even having the title as a teenager is pretty intriguing.
hmm.
How'd you get the title? Like, where'd you get the name?
Well, so at the time I was still super obsessed with Lord of the Rings, and
Right.
like simple, like okay, the Lord of the Rings. So I'm like, okay, well,
Da,
condense
da, da.
simple, right? Something that kind of rolls off the tongue. And
Right.
so I was like, lands of, and I'm like, the lands of something. And then like at the time I was like, okay, well, my main country is Zayfithia, and so it's like it's easier for me. It was easy to pronounce. I don't know how easy it is for others, but I'm like, oh, the lands of Zayfithia, and I'm like, this sounds like epic, high fantasy, super like
Yeah.
made up world. And I'm like,
Well, that's cool. It really does. It's Kryn, it's really that made up world it sounds like it belongs in the genre. It really does.
yeah, yeah.
And when you're doing this, how long was the original, like the 13-year-old? Do you know how many? I guess you wrote it by hand in a spiral. How many notebooks was this?
It was three.
Three
So
full, wait, like three of the full.
yeah,
I'm looking off camera, like I have one right there, actually. Hold on.
it was one
Like,
of the thin ones. So it was
so
maybe,
like that.
yes,
Okay.
exactly. It was like
Cool.
one of those, and each of them was about 200 pages, I would say.
Wow.
And so I kind of continued like the writing through high school, and then I kind of stopped. I stopped writing after high school when I was like in the first years of college, because I was trying to go into digital design, and like like, and it never really connected with me, I guess. And
Right.
my writing kind of just, I don't know, it took a back seat for a while, and then
It happens.
yeah, and then after those 2 years is when I slowly started getting it back up. So I'm like, I consider like one of my personal like regrets is not writing during that time, because it was just I had all the ideas, I just didn't write.
Well, sometimes you have to unlock the writing power in your head. You might have all the ideas in the world. They're still baking though.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. I agree with that.
Yeah. And then boom, w- when you rediscover these notebooks,
Mhm.
really, like, do you have any memory of it all of writing them?
Yeah. Oh, actually, yeah, I do.
You did? Okay.
Yeah. There was a lot when I was writing the first one, and this was usually during the summer that I would write it because I had more time. And in true Tolkien nature, I would actually go out into the woods and basically write all my stuff. Because at
Oh,
the
wow.
time when I was a kid, we were in middle of nowhere, Iowa, and our house was also out in the middle of nowhere, but it was near
Right.
a really big forest. And so I would go to the forest, find a good stream, and I would like write down some stuff. And I'm like, yeah, this is cool.
That is so cool.
Yeah.
And what was your procedure from taking those notebooks to typing it? I'm guessing you typed it out.
So the procedure between those two was that I needed to actually redo the entire story.
Right.
So the insane thing for me is that only I think the only things that are the same from the notebooks to what I have now are the names of the countries and the cities. The
So
entire
the
storyline
land of.
is yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, because just because like right now I have a lot of other like future books that I have planned, so I have outlines and stuff like that. And this original notebook story is a future book that I have, just so I can go back to it. But yeah, like I said, like the titles, I'm like, okay, well, I got to do something with Zayfithia as the country
Right.
and all of the other countries surrounding it. And that's when I started building history and lore, and I started creating my own language. um, and the whole Tolkien stuff, and
Yeah, that is Token Wood.
and that's when I started kind of like basically starting from scratch. Um,
Yeah.
new characters, new everything, and yeah, eventually I got to a point where I was thinking of like, okay, this is going to be 4 books, but now I have 5 planned. So
Cool.
it's going to be 5 books in the future, obviously, but because I only have the first one, and I finished the rough draft of the second this year, um, and then I'm working on the third right now. So it's a work in progress.
Absolutely. That's amazing. And if anyone has never done writing before, if you can plan out your books and fantasy especially, they're not small.
No, no, like I have my book here. So this
Yeah.
is Lands of Ordia, and you can see it's kind of big.
Yeah. They're
Like,
proper weapons.
yeah, it's just like
I know, right? I mean, like,
yeah.
that was like that, like 100,000 words?
I
120?
forgot. I forgot how many words it was. This one is 600 pages though.
Oh, wow.
So it's a big first book.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You're writing how many of them? 5?
5, and so my my second book it turned out rough draft 475 pages. So it's a little shorter than the first,
Right.
but I'm like, hey, if I can reach 400 pages, that's good enough for me.
Well, absolutely, and that's when you put it into perspective, you're writing like 500,000 words.
Yeah, yeah. Actually, yeah, probably.
Yeah,
I have a
and just
lot.
like on one draft, not even like rewriting. That's just like one draft
Yeah,
of all 5 of your books.
yeah, yeah. I have
So,
like all the outlines made, so I know what happens. Each chapter of every book, basically. So like each chapter is already planned out. I just need to
right.
write everything. So
It's kind of like writing a screenplay then. That's more of a beat style, like you're doing this beat, get to
yeah,
this one. It's like it's a map, yeah.
yeah.
Where'd you learn that? Curious.
Well, actually, I eventually went back to school for my bachelor's degree, and one of my classes was writing screenplays and stage plays.
There
So,
you go. It
exactly.
does help.
Mhm.
It honestly does help, and we've got people. I know Isaac Thorne and I are like the by the seat of our pantsers. Well, like, well, we just keep going,
Yeah.
and then some people will get it all dialed down. I've seen one person do like an outline of a book so granular it was basically the entire book when the outline was done. So I'm guessing you're not that granular, but you've
No.
got the more with the beats where you know you have to go.
Yes.
And from this chapter, like it starts out here, it has to end up here.
hmm
Everything else you fill in.
Yeah, and sometimes, sorry to interrupt.
No, no,
Uh,
that was done.
Sometimes my outlines. This actually happened in my second book. And I have my outline planned out.
Right.
I start writing. I'm like, okay, this is really cool. But then all of a sudden, I have a nice, cool idea that'll like totally like twist the chapter, or it'll leave the chapter on a cliffhanger, or what if this
Right.
character does this instead? And I actually had that a couple times in my second book. That's in the rough draft, and it made the story so much better. And so that's why I'm
Cool.
not super specific on the chapters. It's just like here's the broad outline of what happens. Whatever happens in between, who knows?
Yeah, there you go. And it kind of gives you more dynamic play away. And that's kind of like the best of both worlds, I think.
Yeah.
Did you ever think of something that made you change the other books?
There was a lot of changes that I made
Okay.
before I started outlining everything, I
Right.
suppose. There was a lot of times where I wanted to go back in the first book after it was published and change something. Um,
Happens.
and a lot of it was dealing with like lore and history, um, because basically like this Lands of Ordia is all about these. Um, the main character Jarell is trying to collect these gems from the immortals who crafted the Lands of Ordia. And these gems aren't, like, oh, they're over here. He has to actually like travel the world and find
Right.
the gems. And there was a lot of lore and history that I made for the gems, and I kept going back and forth, changing those and adding characters, and then getting rid of the characters. I'm just like, this doesn't go along with like the main story, or it doesn't make sense. And there's a lot of like spiritual aspect to the story too, and it's just like, well, trying to I guess like bump people into like, okay, this is a fantasy world and there
Right.
is magic, but there's a lot of like spiritual connections between the mortals of the earth and the immortals who created the land. So there was a lot of like
That's
deep
cool.
lore stuff. But
That's cool. Then this goes to my next question then. How do you keep your names and all the lore in your head, is it? I mean, I'm guessing it's a note system somehow.
Yeah, I mean, most of it is in my head.
There you go.
Yeah, but there's also like a separate, I guess, document, I guess that I type up basically all the characters that I have and how they correlate to each other. So like there's a whole different group part of the story where it's like this big group of like a wizard, an elf, some humankind.
Right.
There's also the people of the gnomes, but for the most part, this other company, this main company in the first book, they don't even bother with the gnomes, but the gnomes also have their own side of the story and they fight their own darkness. And so it does connect, but the company also, doesn't interact with each other with the gnomes. But like the way that the company is just like, okay, well, there's this guy called Kaladel. He's the wizard. He's kind of like the leader. And then there's another guy called Sirvin. He's an elf, and so they are like this knowledge duo, and like, they interact with each other really well. And then there's the main character, Jarrell, and he is curious about Sirvin. He's just like, maybe I could get some guidance. But then when Sirvin leaves the group, then he turns to the wizard Kaladel, and so it's like all these like different interactions. And so I keep this document basically like, okay, well, this character thinks of this other character
Right.
a different way than somebody else might. It's there's a lot of characters, but I mean, for the most part, it's kind of
That it sounds like a Bible, like a screenplay Bible for like a teleseries.
yeah.
Is that kind of where the yeah.
I would say so because
Yeah.
it's a lot. I would say it's like a huge database basically for myself.
I was like, I'm interested. If you ever publish that, I think that would make a great like a annotated version of it. Like, oh, here's everything we said.
Yeah,
I love it.
that would be
Where,
really cool actually.
where do you get the language from? I know how Tolkien did his.
Yeah.
How do you do yours?
Yeah. I kind of toss back and forth. It's not finished right now, but I would say
Right.
it's mostly finished. Um, and I basically right now I'm learning a little bit of Spanish, and I also went back on some like old English words and some just more like old European style
Right.
dialects and stuff. And so I have a little notebook basically, like actually handwritten and everything, and I'll have the English word for let's like an object, like a sword. Basically, I'll put
Right.
sword, and then I'll put the pronunciation of whatever it is, and I think it's esuva or something like that. And then after the pronunciation, I have my symbols that I draw. So it's kind of like
Wow.
a three-step progress. And so I have my own alphabet, you could say.
Right. Yeah.
And so the alphabets are the symbols, but they don't correlate to English. They correlate to the pronunciation that I made for the English word, if that makes sense. And so, like,
No, it
oh, sorry,
makes perfect sense. And it's a lot of hard work.
it is. It takes a long time.
Did you ever go one day like, man, I wish I didn't?
Actually, no.
No?
I each time that I try to add, I want to say try to add because sometimes I don't have that motivation, and it's like
Right.
I don't know because I got to make up words, and so it's like it's hard, but it's I've had to redo my language like twice because I wasn't satisfied. um,
Wow.
but yeah, I think just it's a work in progress. But now I got a good steady flow of it, and so I'm like, okay, well, when my eventual plan is when I publish the last book, I'm gonna publish the entire language, kind of like the appendixes of
Right.
the
Yep.
Rings. So,
That's the way to do it.
but yeah, it's a long process for sure.
Well, no, for sure it's a long process, but that's the proper way of doing it. I think by book 5, people are gonna be hooked enough to go, I want this language.
Yeah,
I
that's
want
that's
this
the
language.
hope.
Yeah, well, touch wood. It's it's a decent series and a great hook, especially because the creative output you're putting into it.
Yeah,
The
yeah,
more creative you are with your world building, and you took your world building seriously,
mhm,
it fleshes it out for everyone else.
yeah, and
We actually inhabit this land, and we know it's a strange land, but we can connect to it, which is, I think, is a brilliant part of your writing.
yeah,
This is going to get into it's not like a side question, but I'm just curious from my own aspect of it. Have you thought about taking these out to conventions and trying to get on the convention bandwagon and seeing if we can do like, because you can do like the
mhm,
fantasy conventions and do
yeah,
people
um,
there.
yeah, because I'm actually I'm in like the suburbs of Chicago, right? So
Oh yeah.
C2E2, yeah, yeah. And so
Shoot.
there's a lot of fantasy conventions that go around, especially you get like Ren Fair, you get C2E2, all that
Yeah.
the really nerdy stuff, which is all about me. So it's like, oh, absolutely. Um, and I definitely would. It's just like sometimes, personally for me, it's like the financial side is sometimes not there, which is why I've only been able to publish one book, um, which is a bummer. But you know,
Hey, one book so far, and one book's more than most people do.
yeah, yeah, that's true. I have been told that it's like, hey, I haven't published a book, but you have, and I have to
Yeah.
remind myself. I'm like, yeah, actually, I did.
Yeah,
So,
it's an amazing accomplishment. It really is. Now, since you're from Chicago, I've got to ask. That's what I
mm,
was born. I have to ask this question.
mm,
Is dog and suds still a thing?
is I'm not sure.
That might have closed down. Okay,
I,
it's been a while. It's been a while.
yeah.
B, are you a pizza eater? Do you eat pizza?
Yes. Oh, absolutely. The
Okay,
deep dish. Yes.
okay. The deep dish pizza, like it's like yeah. There you go. Have you
Yes.
tried the New York pizza, where it's just kind of like flat
Yeah.
bread of
No,
which do you like better?
I actually like the New York style. Just I don't know, maybe something about I haven't had it in a while though. I haven't had it in maybe like 5 years, so maybe I have to go back and change my mind.
Maybe, but here, okay, I'll give you this. One's easier to eat on the street, and it's definitely in New York because
Yeah.
Chicago just trips all over you.
Oh, absolutely.
You
Yeah.
can't roll up a Chicago pizza. It's just like,
No, it is like the thickest pizza you could get.
yeah, it's great. It's an entire meal. Like
Yeah.
one slice, it's the entire meal. Like, okay, I'm good.
Exactly.
Yeah, sorry. I'm like Chicago. I'm like, I should ask this about the pizza and dog and suds
Yeah. Yeah, because I'm not.
if you get a chance.
Yeah, yeah. Because I'm not originally from the suburbs. Like I said, I'm from Iowa, and I moved over
Yeah.
to the suburbs for
Oh, that's
life.
yeah.
So
I don't think dog and suds even exist anymore. You're safe over here.
yeah.
So when you're moving from all these places, like the suburb, the very small town of Iowa,
Hmm.
to a suburb of Chicago is still like, Chicago.
Hmm.
Does that affect the way you see the world? And if so, does that affect the way you write?
I would say absolutely.
Okay.
For me, I mean, I think it's different for everybody.
Right.
For me, growing up in Iowa, I enjoyed kind of like the peace and quiet, which is far from what Chicago is.
Chicago's known for peace and quiet.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, crickets chirp.
Yeah, I know.
No, yeah, it's and I think like when I first started writing, that's when I kind of got into that mental space of just like clarity and like peace.
Yeah.
And because it's like, okay, well, I can focus on my story without all these distractions. And so when I moved to the suburbs, and especially when I was just living by myself, I had noisy neighbors, I had traffic all around, like at night and day. And so I'm like, it was harder for me to kind of get into the flow of things.
Yeah.
But eventually I kind of found some spots. Like right now, I actually we live like a couple miles away from like this bike trail, and I found a couple of spots where I can basically resume what I did as a kid.
Cool.
Find of my favorite spot by a tree, by a stream, which I have, and just kind of just let myself just kind of be at peace for a little bit. So
That is actually pretty amazing because I was thinking like, man, what's your writing like? You have to put like headphones on just to block out all the noise and
sometimes I do.
yeah.
Yeah.
But if you find that nature, Chicago can be a beautiful place, especially the suburbs.
Hmm.
People don't know it's not all cities. Sometimes there's actually trees and rivers and lakes
Yeah.
and all sorts
Exactly.
of boating things, like. So when you are looking back, and I do ask this of all my guests,
Mhm.
what is your mother's maiden name? Kidding. Don't answer that one.
The
That's
what
just
was
a
it? Sorry?
joke. Yeah. Go ahead. And what's your social insurance number?
Oh,
No. Um, no, it's going to be if you're looking back when you were a child, meaning anywhere between small to even 13 years old when you did the notebooks.
Mhm.
What advice now would you give you?
Mm. I That's a good question. I would probably just say just keep writing, no matter what.
There you go.
If if you don't have motivation, if you do, just keep at it. Sometimes that push by yourself um,
Yeah.
gets you that mental strength to
Yeah.
get you through like writer's block. I had a lot of writer's block, especially, and I mean, if I just like, okay, I need to finish a paragraph or I need to finish a page, it's progress. Progress is progress. And sometimes when you don't feel motivated, or if I didn't feel motivated and I started writing, all of a sudden that spark of creativity is just like, oh, well, actually, I'm gonna add a few more things, and
Yeah.
I think that's like the biggest piece of advice I would say.
No, it's brilliant, and you hit something on your head because a lot of people are like, "Oh, writer's block. I have to stop and give up."
Yeah,
And sometimes it's like that because they think they have to do the entire thing at once.
right. Yeah, and
Yeah.
sometimes it's like
Yeah.
patience is key. I feel like is
Right.
yeah,
Absolutely. Or like Arnold Schwarzenegger would say, "What would this look like if it was simple?"
yeah. Oh,
Like you
yeah,
just get a paragraph done,
yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
and maybe you add on, maybe you don't, but you got something writing that done.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
That's true.
that's amazing. That's amazing advice. I think we all should take that as writers, no matter what we do. Just
Thank you.
a little bit at a time.
Yeah,
Just
just keep
get
writing.
going.
Yeah.
Now, Jason,
Oh, sorry.
Jason,
Yeah.
wow, Jackson.
Yeah.
I can say names today.
It's fine.
I swear I'm not tired.
Oh no, I'm tired 24/7.
Oh my god, sorry. Jackson, where can we find you? Not in Chicago, but like, where can we find you?
Like I'm in the suburbs.
Online.
Yeah. For the most part, I post mostly on YouTube,
Okay.
and I'm also on Instagram. Like I said before, it's JJSCHELHAAS, and yeah, so that's both Instagram and YouTube. That's kind of
Cool.
where I'm more active. So
That's
yeah.
amazing. That's amazing. And if you are in the Chicago area, Jackson's got a great place. He wants to show you with a no, I can't.
Yeah,
Don't show
right.
no one your special
My
writing
special place.
place. It will not be special no longer.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. It's always a fan. I mean, I'm a fan of Tolkien, so I always love people who create their own worlds, create their own words.
Yeah.
And anyone who's currently in Chicago or came from Chicago, I'm always a fan.
Yeah.
It's a
Awesome.
pleasure having you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks again, Jackson, for coming by. And on behalf of myself and Jackson, go check him out online. Check out the YouTube.
Thank
Get
you.
the book. Read it. Walk his Instagrams.
Yeah.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.